Welcome to Stellar Insights, where we explore the world of cruising. I'm Joe,
And I'm Donna.
your hosts and fellow cruise enthusiasts. Each episode will bring you the latest news, insider tips, and our own adventures from the high seas.
Whether you're a first-timer,
Or a seasoned cruiser,
there's something for everyone.
this show is produced by Travel 1609.
Let's set sail into today's episode.
So, this time you've shared some really interesting currents in the cruising world with us. And we're going to dive deep into a few key areas that could definitely shape your future cruise experiences.
Yeah,
We've got some recent news reports and industry analysis that paint a picture of what's happening right now.
that's right.
And our aim is to give you a clear understanding of these developments so you feel informed and ready whether you're planning a trip or just staying up to date.
For sure.
Okay, so let's unpack this. It seems like health on cruise ships is still something we need to keep an eye on, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
We're seeing reports of Norovirus making the rounds.
Right. What's noteworthy, I think, for you is the fact that we're still seeing these outbreaks. Specifically, Holland America's Rotterdam experienced one earlier this month that affected a significant number of people, both passengers and crew.
Oh, wow.
And sadly, a second outbreak followed on their Eurodam ship, impacting even more passengers.
Oh, no.
And then Royal Caribbean's Radiance of the Seas had its own encounter with norovirus back in February. What this highlights, I think, is this inherent challenge of managing communicable illnesses in a relatively confined environment.
Yeah.
Something to keep in mind as you prepare for your travels.
Yeah, there's a few significant instances there.
Mm-hmm.
It really brings home the importance of those health and safety measures that we always hear about. The CDC plays a role here, I understand.
Yes, the reports consistently mention the CDC through their vessel sanitation program.
Okay.
This is a crucial program focused on ensuring sanitary conditions on cruise ships.
Right.
They actively monitor situations like these outbreaks and provide guidance to cruise lines on how to implement enhanced sanitation protocols. So, while you're looking forward to your cruise, it's reassuring to know there's this dedicated program overseeing health standards and working to mitigate these risks.
It does make you think about, what the cruise lines are doing, the increased cleaning, the disinfection procedures.
Yes.
And, reinforces that as passengers, we also have a responsibility to report any symptoms early.
For sure.
That heads up must be vital in containing these things.
Absolutely.
So health is definitely a key area.
It is.
What else has caught your attention this week?
Well, shifting gears slightly to something perhaps less critical but still impactful on your overall experience. Passenger comfort.
Okay.
There's been some interesting chatter, particularly around Carnival cruises,
Okay.
concerning strong odors.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it seems some passengers have been quite bothered by strong perfume, especially in dining areas.
Oh, wow.
One report even quoted a passenger describing a stinky ship experience.
Stinky ship.
Yeah.
That's not something you often factor into your cruise planning. But I can see in those shared indoor spaces how overpowering scents could really detract from the experience for you and other passengers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What's interesting here is Carnival's reported response.
Okay.
Their brand ambassador has apparently encouraged passengers to report these issues while they're on board.
Oh, yeah.
This suggests a proactive approach to ensuring a pleasant atmosphere for everyone.
Yeah.
And it brings up, I think, a broader point. In a close community like a cruise ship, the comfort of one person can impact many others.
Right.
And it seems cruise lines are increasingly aware of these more nuanced aspects of passenger satisfaction.
That's actually quite insightful.
Yeah.
It shows they're attuned to even these seemingly minor details.
Right.
Encouraging onboard reporting feels like a good way to address issues in real time.
For sure.
Now let's move on to something that likely affects your wallet.
Mm-hmm.
The cost of cruising.
Okay.
I noticed some discussion around pricing frustrations with Carnival.
Yes, this appears to be a significant point of concern for many cruisers. Reports indicate considerable frustration with Carnival's recent pricing strategies, particularly concerning their Cheers beverage package.
Right.
It seems the price increased quite sharply without much advance notice, and passengers who had already booked their cruises were not able to secure the previously advertised rates.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Nobody appreciates a surprise price hike, especially after you've already budgeted for your vacation.
Right.
And those beverage packages can represent a significant portion of the overall cost.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And it's not solely about the beverage packages.
Okay.
There's also mention of reductions in some included services, such as the frequency of stateroom cleaning.
Oh, really?
The underlying sentiment seems to be that passengers feel they're receiving less value for their money.
Yeah.
This is definitely prompting discussions and calls for greater transparency in Carnival's pricing structure,
Right.
something to consider as you compare different cruise lines and packages.
It's a delicate balance for the cruise lines, isn't it?
It is.
They have business realities to face with fluctuating costs.
Mm-hmm.
But they also need to keep you, the passenger, happy and feeling like you're getting a fair deal.
For sure.
The CEOs reported justification of these changes as market-driven.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's their perspective,
Right.
but it's clear many cruisers feel differently.
They do.
Yeah.
And these discussions are happening very publicly on social media and cruise forums, so it's definitely a prevalent topic within the cruising community.
Yeah.
This raises a vital question for you. When you're booking a cruise, are you paying close attention not only to the base fare,
Right.
but also to what's included
Yeah.
and whether there have been any recent changes to those inclusions or pricing policies?
Absolutely. That fine print is more important than ever.
Yeah.
Now, itineraries are another aspect of cruising that can sometimes have unexpected twists and turns, right? I recall seeing something about Royal Caribbean making adjustments in the past.
You're correct. Last-minute itinerary modifications are unfortunately a fairly common occurrence in the cruise industry.
Okay.
These changes are often necessitated by unforeseen circumstances,
Right.
such as adverse weather conditions or issues with port availability.
Okay.
While the specific reports this week didn't detail particular changes for Royal Caribbean, it's a reality they openly address in their official FAQs.
Okay.
For you, this means that even if you have your heart set on visiting a specific port,
Right.
there's always a possibility that the itinerary could be altered.
So even with meticulous planning and anticipation of those dream destinations,
Yes,
there's a degree of unpredictability involved.
precisely.
Yeah.
And passenger reactions can vary quite a bit.
Yeah.
Some passengers understand that these changes are often made for safety reasons and appreciate the updates.
Good.
Others, quite understandably, experience disappointment if their carefully laid plans are disrupted, particularly if they specifically chose the cruise for certain ports of call. This really underscores the importance of maintaining a degree of flexibility in your travel mindset when you're cruising.
That's a great point.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose that's where travel insurance might offer some level of protection
Yes.
if significant itinerary changes impact your trip.
That's right.
Royal Caribbean advising passengers to regularly check their travel updates page seems like a prudent step,
It is.
even though those updates can sometimes come relatively close to the sailing date.
That's right.
It's all part of the dynamic nature of travel, especially at sea, where you're dealing with elements largely beyond anyone's control.
Right.
This prompts a key consideration for you. How comfortable are you with potential deviations from your planned itinerary?
Mm-hmm.
And what steps do you take to prepare for such possibilities? Definitely something to keep in mind as you're making your choices.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've navigated the waters of health concerns, passenger comfort, pricing adjustments, and itinerary changes.
Yes.
Now let's chart a course north to Alaska. There's been some significant discussion about potentially limiting cruise ship traffic in that region, hasn't there?
Yes, this is a really important development with potential long-term ramifications for how you might experience Alaska cruises in the future.
Okay.
The core of the discussion is about finding a sustainable balance between the economic benefits that tourism, particularly cruising, brings to Alaska, and the imperative need to protect its incredibly fragile and pristine environment.
Right.
Juneau has actually taken concrete steps by establishing specific limits that are set to take effect in 2026.
Okay.
These include a daily cap of 5 cruise ships and restrictions on the total number of available passenger berths, with even stricter limits on Saturdays.
Wow, that's a fairly decisive move.
It is.
5 ships a day.
Yeah.
That signals a significant shift.
Yeah.
What's the primary driver behind these limitations?
The central concern revolves around the environmental impact.
Okay.
This includes issues like potential water and air pollution from the ships, noise disturbances affecting local wildlife, and the sheer influx of a large number of people into relatively small communities.
Yeah.
For instance, Ketchikan can reportedly see its population triple on days with heavy cruise ship arrivals.
Wow.
Furthermore, Sitka is also actively exploring similar measures, with a proposed ballot initiative that has cleared its initial legal hurdles.
So this is essentially a local initiative to manage the pressures of tourism.
Yes.
You can certainly see both sides of the coin.
Mm-hmm.
The economic advantages that cruising provides are substantial.
Yes.
But so is the need to safeguard the very natural beauty that attracts visitors to Alaska in the first place.
Precisely. And the concerns extend beyond the immediate environmental impact.
Okay.
There are broader discussions around the long-term sustainability of these ecosystems
Yeah.
and the overall health of the region.
Mhm.
While cruise lines have been making efforts to reduce their environmental footprint through various initiatives, the debate about achieving the right equilibrium is clearly ongoing
Right.
and will likely play a significant role in shaping the future of Alaska cruising options available to you.
It really makes you wonder what an Alaska cruise might look like a decade from now.
Yeah.
Will these kinds of limitations become more widespread across different ports?
Right.
Could it affect the pricing of these itineraries?
Mm-hmm.
Or the size and types of ships that are able to visit?
Mm-hmm.
Lots of interesting questions to consider if Alaska is on your travel radar.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This situation in Alaska really reflects a larger global conversation happening in tourism.
Yeah.
How do we reconcile the desire to explore and experience new places with our responsibility to protect and preserve those places for future generations?
Right.
It's a question relevant to all your travel choices, not just those involving cruising to Alaska.
Okay. This has been a truly illuminating deep dive into some of the crucial developments happening in the cruise industry right now.
Yeah.
Let's quickly summarize the key takeaways.
Okay.
Firstly, health remains a top priority, as evidenced by the recent norovirus outbreaks on ships like Holland America's Rotterdam and Rotterdam,
Mm-hmm.
as well as Royal Caribbean's Radiance of the Seas. Remember the importance of the CDC's vessel sanitation program
Right.
and the enhanced sanitation measures in place.
For sure.
Secondly, cruise lines are paying attention to passenger comfort
Yeah.
a holistic way, even addressing concerns like strong perfume on Carnival cruises and encouraging you to report such issues on board.
Absolutely.
Thirdly, it's crucial to be mindful of potential pricing adjustments, as we've seen with Carnival's beverage packages,
Yes.
and to thoroughly understand what is included in your cruise fare
Mhm.
to avoid unexpected costs.
Right.
Fourthly, itineraries can sometimes be subject to change, as Royal Caribbean's past adjustments illustrate.
Yes.
So, building some flexibility into your cruise plans is always a wise strategy.
It is.
And finally, the landscape of Alaska cruising is potentially shifting with the implementation of passenger limits in Juneau starting in 2026, and the possibility of similar changes in other Alaskan ports like Sitka, as these communities navigate the balance between tourism and environmental preservation.
Sure.
So as you consider all these different facets of the cruising world, what aspect do you anticipate will undergo the most significant transformations in the coming years?
Mm-hmm.
And how might that influence the decisions you make about your future travels?
Yeah,
It's certainly food for thought until our next deep dive.
for sure.
Thanks for joining us on Stellar Insights.
Thank you.